When Fabio mapped it, he called this cramped tunnel the Intestine of Polinuro. And knowing what he knew, he had a feeling this story wouldn't have a happy ending. But in any case, the Polinuro Fire Service arrived sometime later, and although they were trained in underwater rescue, its members were not expert cave divers, so authorities reached out to a 61-year-old local named Fabio. He was another of Polinuro's diving experts. He was actually the first to map out one of the caves in the wall, called the Grotta della Scaletta. This translates to Cave of the Ladder or Ladder Cave, which was named for two long sections that run vertically. The cave entrance, which is only about 4 feet or 1.5 meters wide, sits on the wall about 46 feet or 14 meters below the surface. From the entrance, the first tunnel extends horizontally until intersecting with the first vertical shaft. Going down into the shaft, the bottom curves and gradually returns to horizontal, and then to the end of the bottom tunnel. At the end of this tunnel is an extremely tight restriction at around 164 feet or 50 meters below the surface. Along the bottom of this tunnel is also a combination of sand and silt, and because of how narrow it is, a silt out is a virtual certainty, especially for inexperienced cave divers who don't know how to handle that type of situation. When Fabio mapped it, he called this cramped tunnel the Intestine of Polinuro. And knowing what he knew, he had a feeling this story wouldn't have a happy ending. The intestine is also about 52 feet or 16 meters in length, and the undulating walls inside close in to less than 3 feet or less than a meter at some points. If they made it through this tunnel, they would have come upon a fork with one tunnel above them and another straight ahead. Choosing the tunnel above them would have taken them back to sea level, but they'd still be enclosed inside the rock, inside of an air pocket at the very top of the shaft. Even if they had ended up in the air pocket, it likely didn't have nearly enough oxygen to sustain even one person for very long, let alone 3. This meant there was only one hope for the men, and that was if they managed to make it through the intestine and then chose to bypass the vertical shaft and continue straight ahead. Had they done that, they would have reached the back entrance to the cave and come out into the open sea on the other side of the rock. But Fabio was sure that if they had managed to make it out the back entrance, they would have already been found. He didn't tell anyone at the scene, but it was Fabio's belief that the divers were dead long before authorities were even called.